Imagine you're waking up for Salatul Fajr and you are struggling to get out of the bed. Getting out of that blanket's extremely painful for you, and you are struggling not to hit the snooze button. You end up caving in, hitting it, and going back to sleep. Want to never run into a situation like this again? I'll explain further. So, to summarize, I'm going to give you a few tips here to wake up for Salatul Fajr so you never run into this situation again. To wake up for Fajr without it being a problem, I'm going to give you a few tips. The first one is understanding how sleep cycles work, setting a firm intention the night before, sleep earlier, maintain a consistent sleep schedule, eliminate bad nighttime habits, and then of course taking action relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. Alright, let's get started. So, regarding sleep cycles, to be able to wake up without it being so painful, you have to understand what sleep cycles are. Sleep cycles, to simplify, is a period where your body is going through different sleep stages throughout a specific period of time. And usually this specific period of time lasts about 90 minutes or so. Through each of these cycles, you go through 4 stages of sleep. N1 sleep, N2 sleep, N3 sleep, and REM sleep. So N1 sleep is also known as the lightest form of sleep. This is where you're basically kicking into a sleep state. N2 is a light form of sleep where you can still be woken up fairly easily, but you're fully asleep. The N3 stage is deep sleep. This is going to be the deepest stage of sleep. And this is where you're basically paralyzed at that point, and your muscle tissues are repairing and everything. Stage 4, which is, you go in these stages in order, but deep sleep is actually going to be stronger and it's going to be deeper basically than stage 4, which is REM sleep, right? REM sleep is where your eyes are rapidly moving while your eyelids are shut, and this is where you're dreaming. Usually REM sleep happens towards the end of a sleep cycle. Why do you need to know this? Why does this matter? So the light stages of sleep last about 15 to 30 minutes or so before you start kicking into a deep form of sleep or REM sleep. Usually deep sleep is prioritized at the earlier cycles of the night, usually the first 2 or 3, and then REM sleep is going to be emphasized in the rest. You're still going to go through all these stages, but REM sleep usually kicks in the most towards the end, which is why usually it's important to get, 7 to 9 hours of sleep so you can get enough sleep cycles in. Now, have you ever wondered why you've woken up and you felt extremely groggy? It's been extremely painful to get up, like I was mentioning in that example. You're struggling to get out of the bed. It's extremely painful to do so. It's likely because you woke up in one of these stages of sleep, these deep stages of sleep, specifically deep sleep or REM sleep. Both of these stages are a pretty deep stage of sleep, where if your body gets disturbed, like by an alarm clock, by noise, by whatnot, you're going to wake up and you're going to be super groggy. It's going to be like you got hit by a rock or something, like you got hit by a truck. Like it literally feels like that, right? That's the best way to describe it. Knowing that these sleep cycles are about 90 minutes each, you can maximize your chances of waking up right at the end of a sleep cycle and waking up at the lightest stage, or at the lightest stage of your sleep at the least. And when you understand how this works, even if you slept 4.5 hours, it's going to feel as if you slept 8. Well, at least throughout the first part of the morning, of course. And then your body starts feeling the fatigue after, of course, because you slept 4.5 hours. But you're not going to feel it at the beginning. You're going to wake up feeling refreshed, which is going to give you that strength and that energy to get out of bed, pray Salatul Fajr, and do what you need to do, if need be, before going back to sleep. If you didn't get enough sleep, of course. And this will give you the energy necessary, of course, to pray Fajr, but even Salatul Tahajjud, inshaAllah. You can use resources such as a sleep cycle calculator. I'll go ahead and pull one up here. Okay, so this right here, this is a pretty good sleep calculator that you can use. Probably one of the first links that come up. It doesn't matter really what sleep cycle calculator you use, but this one, you can just input the time you're going to go to bed. Let's say you need to get to bed at 9 p.m., right? Calculate that. It's going to tell you when you should fall asleep. So for 9 hours of sleep, which is 6 sleep cycles, because if a sleep cycle is about 90 minutes, that's an hour and a half. You do the math. Sleep 6 cycles is going to be about 9 hours of sleep. 5 cycles for 7.5. 4 cycles for 6 hours, and then 3 cycles for 4.5. This is the estimated time you should fall asleep. That's the key word, fall asleep right there. Meaning time you're actually getting into that sleep stage. So you should probably get to bed a little bit earlier than that actual time if you're trying to fall asleep at that time. So like if you're trying to fall asleep at 9 p.m. specifically, you'd probably want to get to bed around 8:30. Depends on how fast you can fall asleep. If you're super tired, you can probably get away with getting to bed a little bit later, like 8:45, 8:50. But if it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to fall asleep, even up to 30 minutes or so, you probably want to get to bed around 8:30 so that you can fall asleep around this time and then fit within the sleep cycle criteria. Then it will tell you specifically, hold on. I think I literally put that in wrong. I want to wake up at 9 p.m. No, so it's the calculations of what time you want to wake up. So if Salatul Fajr is at 6 a.m. or 6:05, something around the 6 a.m. area, you're going to calculate that. It's going to tell you when to go to bed, right? So 9 p.m. if you want to get 9 hours of sleep, and then 10:30 p.m. if you want to get 7.5, 12 a.m. if you want to get 6 hours of sleep, and then 1:30 if you want to get 4.5. So, and this is, again, regarding the time you fall asleep. And of course, this is going to help you both in the winter and in the summer when the prayer times change. Understanding how sleep cycles work is going to allow you to focus on sleeping based on the sleep cycles rather than just sleeping at a specific time and waking up at a specific time and then accidentally waking up in like a deep stage of sleep and making things more difficult for yourself. You want to look at the perspective of sleep from sleeping in cycles rather than the overall time that you sleep. And this is going to make things a lot easier for you. So even if you slept 2 sleep cycles, 3 hours, right? You're going to still wake up feeling refreshed enough to be able to pray tahajjud if, inshallah, you can get up for it, or Fajr, Salatul Fajr. And then you can catch up on your sleep later. Of course, there's barakah in staying up for Fajr, but if you do need your sleep, you need your sleep, right? As long as you're not missing your salah, it's not a huge problem. The next tip I have for you is setting your intention the night before. You have to keep in mind that you cannot wake up for Salatul Fajr without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. Setting your intention the night before is very important because you're basically setting yourself up for success at that point. Because when you make the firm intention that you want to wake up for Salatul Fajr, if you're gonna say, if you think to yourself, inshallah, I'll wake up for Salatul Fajr. I'm gonna try to wake up for Salatul Fajr. Try my best. This is not the kind of way you want to look at it because you're basically setting up yourself for failure at that point. Because you're not 100% certain that you're gonna wake up for Salatul Fajr, right? You're not in that mindset. Where of course it's never certain that you're gonna wake up for Salatul Fajr. Allah might decide to take your soul when you're sleeping, and that might be ending up how things go. But setting your intention the night before that you will wake up for Salatul Fajr, even if you were to get your soul taken that night, you're still gonna get the reward of waking up for Fajr. And that's the thing, is like setting the firm intention that you're gonna wake up for Salatul Fajr puts you in such a major position because actions are based on their intentions. We all know about that hadith, right? So instead of thinking, inshallah, I'll wake up for Salatul Fajr, I'm going to try my best to wake up for Salatul Fajr, you say, I will wake up for Salatul Fajr. I will wake up for Salatul Fajr. And you do all the things necessary. You have to do jihad against your nafs, right? Resist the urge to fall asleep. Resist the urge to get into bad habits later in the night, which I'll describe a little bit later in the video. But setting your intention and also setting sleep as a form of ibadah, right? Because sleep can be a form of ibadah, right? If you're setting the intention that you're going to sleep early so that you can wake up for Salatul Fajr, even Salatul Tahajjud, while at the same time getting a lot of sleep, especially like in the winter months, right? Getting 8 hours of sleep is very easy to do while also praying Salatul Tahajjud, considering that you make the intention and that Allah allows you, because Tahajjud is only by invitation by Allah, and of course making the intention to wake up for it, and asking for Allah's help, making dua to wake up for it, you will be able to wake up for it, inshallah. But the point here is setting the intention to go to sleep early so that you can wake up for Salat al-Fajr and even Tahajjud. At that point, your sleep is a form of ibadah because you're saying, yeah, Allah, I want to fall asleep so I can take care of my health, so I can take care of my well-being, while at the same time being able to worship you. Like, it's literally the most perfect way to set things up because you're taking care of your body, your body's a responsibility from Allah, it's an amana, right? But at the same time, you're able to make the salah that you need to make for Salat al-Fajr and even praying tahajjud, inshallah, right? The next tip I'm going to give you is to sleep earlier. Now, I know this one's going to come off as common knowledge, especially for you night owls, but it's something you need to hear. Sleeping earlier is so important. Sleep earlier, akhi. It's a sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to go to sleep right after Isha. And what better example to follow him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's narrated in Ibn Majah 702 that Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not sleep before Isha, nor stay up talking after it. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam avoided idle talk after Isha and prioritized putting his sleep first so that he can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better, which is what I was explaining earlier. So it's a sunnah. It's not only the fact that you're fulfilling your duties as a Muslim, but at the same time following the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So trying your best to go to sleep as early as possible, usually after Isha, especially in the night, like in the times where the day gets longer and the night gets shorter. Of course, you're going to want to get yourself to sleep really quick, right? But in those times where like the window's 12 hours, you might not need to go to sleep right after the adhan, but going to sleep as soon as possible after, right? So that you can prioritize your sleep. The point to take away from this is to prioritize your sleep while also being able to wake up for Fajr and even Tahajjud, inshallah. Now think about it. If you're not doing something in the night that's pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's getting in the way, not only is it not pleasing Allah, but it's getting in the way of doing things that please Him, like making your salah and getting in the way of your duties, your fard acts, right? Your obligatory acts, then it's a waste of time to stay up. If you're making it harder for yourself, it's not good for you. So if you have a late sleep schedule and you're going to bed late, you should adjust your sleep schedule slowly over time. It's not like if you're naturally going to bed at like 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., then you're not just going to magically be able to fall asleep at 9 p.m. the next night, right? Unless you get like 3 hours of sleep, maybe it'll be easier to push that back, but it's going to make it harder on your body to adjust. So the easiest way to do it is to go to bed about 30 minutes to an hour earlier every night. I'd probably recommend starting with 30 minutes and then just adjusting over time, because this is going to allow you to slowly adjust your circadian rhythm to an earlier sleep schedule. And of course, when you sleep consistently overall, it's going to make things easier for you. The more you're consistent with the sleep schedule, the better. Which brings me to the next point. Stay consistent with your sleep schedule. If you're consistently going to bed around the same time and you're waking up around the same time, it's going to be so much easier for your circadian rhythm to adjust to that and for you to naturally wake up at the end of a sleep cycle. And this will help build the habit of consistently waking up early and going to bed early as well. And then the next tip I have for you is killing bad habits in the night. Ask yourself when you're doing these bad habits, is it benefiting me? Is it getting me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is this necessary? If it doesn't fit any of these questions, then it's something you have to drop. Okay, so there's 3 steps that I usually follow when it comes to killing bad habits in the night. The first one is to make the intention to stop when you realize it isn't good for you. The second step is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help and to act upon it. To act upon killing that bad habit, to try your best. Literally do jihad against your nafs. That's what you're doing. You're doing jihad against your nafs all the time. Your nafs is your greatest enemy because it's going to want to cave into all your desires, right? And then when you take your desires, when you follow your desires, it does not lead you down a good path. It does not lead you down sirat al-mustaqim, right? So doing constant jihad against your nafs for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking Allah for help. So let's say you're struggling to watch TV and such, then you want to constantly fight yourself to put it off, watch less TV, maybe watch less TV, adjust over time until you can eliminate it. But of course, the third step is usually what's going to make you make it easier for you to kill it for good, which is to replace it with a good habit, right? When you take a negative and you replace it with a positive, it just makes it so much easier for that negative to go away, right? So replacing it with a good habit, this will bring more purpose into your life, and habits compound over time. It's going to allow you to be more disciplined. It's going to allow you to become a better Muslim over time when you're implementing more good habits in your life. And naturally, just a better person. Self-improvement for anyone is going to be a beneficial aspect of anyone's life, right? So again, making the intention to stop, doing jihad against your nafs, asking Allah for help, and replacing the bad habit with a good habit. Now, in regards to taking all these into action, you're the one who has to implement it. You're the one who has to take the action, akhi. I'm going to summarize. So to wake up for Fajr, understanding sleep cycles, setting the intention the night before, using sleep as a form of ibadah, but also setting the intention that you will 100% wake up for Salatul Fajr, sleep earlier, maintain a consistent sleep schedule, eliminate bad nighttime habits, and of course take action and ask Allah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. This is part of having tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember, have tawakkul, not tawakkul, alright? You won't have tawakkul, not tawakkul. Tawakkul is action-based. So you're trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He will help you, that He will take care of you, but you're taking the action as well to push yourself in that path, to push yourself towards that good. Tawakkul is trusting Allah, but being lazy, thinking like some miracle is going to magically happen. You're just going to magically start doing these things and eliminating these bad habits and implementing these things. No, you have to do jihad against your nafs, and you have to fight in the fi sabilillah, right? You have to fight in the path of Allah. Fight against your nafs and push yourself closer to Allah, and Allah will not let you down. That's a beautiful thing. Like I mentioned in one of my videos, the 3 golden principles of a Muslim, I'm going to put that video on here for you to watch at the end of this video. But the second principle is having tawakkul, right? So remember to have tawakkul, not tawakkul. Hope this benefited you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.